And it's about 6 o'clock on the 20th of May, 2022. About 5 o'clock when the first light was coming in. The birds start coming alive, and oh man, it was loud. I thought about recording that, but I was like, no, I'm trying to stay asleep still. This is kind of cool. I've seen a couple of the other campsites have this also. You could set up a group meeting, and I assume that would be a projector booth. And then you get your nice little white screen here covered in graffiti. Huh. Sunrise should be that way. I don't see it yet. It's got to be close though. Anyway, the plan is, since I got the bike working, go ahead and hit the road today. Now I'm trying to get my head around. So I've been thinking I've got a couple people that offered a place to stay before the race. We don't get that house until the 29th, so it's like 9 days still. I could probably be to Palo Alto in 2 days. Might stretch it out to 3. I don't want to slow down too much, because just in case. Oh, that looks kind of cool. They got this, I'm not sure if it's a wind barrier or what they're doing with it. It's around a lot of the fields, so yesterday I saw the tractor out here working the fields, so yeah, it'll be soon. Anyway, it seems kind of funny to have farmland right up against the park like that. Yeah, last night when I uploaded the video, I started it down in the campsite, and it was going to take it like 3 hours. I walked up the hill like literally 1/10 of a mile, and got to the top, and kind of was working. Then I walked another 10-15 feet and completely lost signal, and I'm like, no. Walked another 100 feet and came around the corner, and all of a sudden, boom! I went from 3 hours down to about 15 minutes on the upload. It was just like that. Yeah. It's like, okay, so there was a tree that they had laid down, and so I set the phone on the tree and sat there and watched the sunset, and the upload was just going bing, 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 like a jackpot. That was cool. Anyway, I think I'll just sit here and chill out. Kind of hear everybody waking up, not moving yet, so. Oh, there it is. It's just coming through the tree. Should have waited. Sun is up. Day has started. Yay. Well, not too many minutes after sunrise and the tractor's out. Pretty sure that's the big case with rubber tracks on it. Guess my dad will ask. I saw it yesterday. It was a case. Hi. Well, the good news is the motor's working. That part's good. So I made it up onto the freeway once. I made it probably 30 feet past the no bicycle sign. Highway patrol comes up behind me. I'm like, where the hell did he come from? Yeah, please, can you turn around? He tells me this road. I'm like, okay, sure, no problem. Oh my God. Every time, it's like freeway, nice and level, surface roads, up and down, up and down. I'm all hacking and wheezing here. Okay, enough chit chat. I'm on the side of a road with no shoulder. I should probably move here. Anyway, forward and onward. So far the bike is working well. I feel all fancy now. I'm downloading Zoom so I can take a meeting call for the sun trip, and I'm hanging out in a little restaurant here. I just had my breakfast. It's almost lunchtime, so I ate some breakfast, and I looked at the clock. I'm like, oh, it's almost noon. I got to do that call. So I'm like, ooh, I'll sit outside. I'll be trendy. Yeah, life is good. And yeah, food is good too. So definitely, yay. Okay, for example, this is one of the roads we're going to be taking on the sun trip. I'm at about 1,200 feet elevation, and it tops off just about 2,000. So I've already climbed most of it. I've stopped several times on the side of the road just to give my panels a chance to catch up. And also, now that I've burned through the wires once on the motor controller, I figured I'd try to take it a little bit easier, not push it quite so hard. This road isn't nearly as steep as the road I had trouble with when I burned the wires, though. But it's pretty good grind. So yeah, it's kind of funny now that I realize that I've ridden half of the course already. I don't know if that makes me feel any better or not, though. It's like, oh, this road's going to be awful. I've been here before, but I'll be going the opposite direction, so that might make a bit of a difference. Burp. Bunch of Gatorade just now. The other thing, some of the people I talked to said predominantly the winds run basically north to south along that part of the coast. So where I had a lot of headwinds, we might have better tailwinds, and then we'll be inland coming up. So that might actually be better. I mean, we'll see. You know, a day could make all the difference there. That's what I learned in Texas anyway. One day the wind blows north, and one day it blows south. So you might be ahead of it or behind it. So anyway, that Zoom call with all the other participants and the organizer and stuff was interesting. So a little more information. Some of it we already knew, I guess, but still nice to see everybody else on the call. So anybody that's watching this, hey. My connection wasn't super good, so that's why I didn't participate very much. And yeah, there is some traffic on this road, and not a whole lot of shoulder. Mostly the traffic is looking for us, though. It seems like I've had a few times where I could tell people were slowing down to get past me safely instead of just trying to blow me off the road. So there is that, assuming they can see you. So it's best to be visible if you can. All right. I think my heart rate is below 300, so now we can go on. All right, it's about 5:45. I did 37 miles today. There's a reservoir down there. There does not appear to be any open camping, at least what showed up on the map. There's a hiking trail there that's open to bicycles, but pretty steep. I don't know if I could push the trailer up that hill or not, but that's probably going to be the best option if I can get it up to about where the fence starts. I think that's going to be our best option for now. I've been climbing some pretty good hills. I did, 37 miles and about 2,000 feet of elevation up and down.
and about burned the batteries out, so I stopped here to get a little bit of a charge. And I think this is going to be the best I can do. I don't see any good cover close by. There was a fire road back a ways, but I'd have to go back up the hill to get to it. The other park is a lot closer to the other freeway, so I think that would be worse. This road isn't traveled as much, but it is still traveled, so yeah, not ideal. So I think I'll just sit here until it gets darker, and then I'll figure it out. Or I could try going a little further. It's one of those things where you don't have any good options. Yeah, I might try going further still. It's like once I go past here, I got to go up a pretty good hill. So, kind of a commitment there. I'm not going to have time to recharge the battery tonight either way. So, yeah. Okay, note to self, this part's going to be a problem. Beautiful little trailer. So, I get the motel reservation for tonight because I didn't think wild camping this close to civilization was a good idea. So I'm in bicycle mode on the Google Maps GPS, so it sends me down this trail, which is apparently a bike path. It didn't occur to me that it was gravel and would be so steep. I literally, off the bike, both hands on the brakes, I'm jackknifing the trailer coming down because all the weight's on the trailer and I don't have trailer brakes. It's like, I wish I had my motocross boots on coming down. All I could do to keep my balance and just hold it together. I kept losing stuff. So I was like, okay, get down to the bottom where it's flat enough to park, leave my backpack for a chalk, walk back up halfway up the hill. I sure hope the rest of it isn't like that, but man, I think we're going to be doing this trail on the Sun Trip, so that's going to be interesting. Of course, I'm not going to have all this heavy stuff next time, so it'll be at least rideable, but you know, road tires not ideal for, but this is just going to be a short little bit, hopefully. I mean, compared to the rest of the 500 miles. Yeah, I'm just really glad I paid attention to that Zoom meeting we had today. They were talking about some of this. I'm halfway down. Oh crap, this is the one. Yeah, going up would be different, but yeah, I might have to get off and walk, but without a lot of weight, we should be okay. Wow. Okay, Motel 6, Campbell, California, south of San Jose, basically. Yeah, I couldn't find a place I felt good about camping out in the wild that close to civilization. The rest of the story we'll tell in a minute. This is probably the worst I've ever done. With the exception of the very first motel where I had to lock the whole thing up outside. So, for posterity, that's what's left. I unloaded the whole front. The scary thing is the electronics and the batteries. So, yeah, anyway. Quick shot for reference later if I need it. Well, if anybody asks, that one is the 48 to 12 volt down converter. Yeah. Anyway, at least I'm the first room upstairs so I can look down and see it, but kind of locked it to there. All right, it's done. I look like I've had a rough day. I forgot I was going to look up how many miles I actually did today. So, let's see. Recap. I don't know if I could even fit this all in. Okay, so came over. Okay, so hang on. Oh, there it is. Maybe. If I look like I'm flinching, this whole arm is just messed up something. I don't know what happened. Actually, I think I know what happened. I probably, from wearing my backpack all the time, for whatever reason, it's affecting this arm but not this arm, and I don't understand why. They both should hurt, but this one, it feels like it's like I pulled a muscle or something, but it's like been like that for a couple of weeks now. Weird thing is it doesn't bother me when I'm riding, so I'm like getting repetitive stress injury or something from that one position. I can ride fine. It's when I lay down that suddenly it's really painful. So I've had like the last time at the state park beach, a few times in the middle of the day I just got tired. I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna lay down for a little bit and just take a snooze. So I got there like at noon or something, right? I'd lay down and this one hurt so bad that I just finally got up. And I'm like, okay, so I went down to the beach and leaned up against a log and fell asleep there, you know. I'm like, okay, that worked pretty good too. But yeah, just my luck. The only thing that I would want to do is lay down and take a nap, and I can't do that, but I can sit up and I can ride the bike. Okay, no more naps. I guess we'll just keep riding. So today, I got to ride over the pass that we're going to do on the first day of the sun trip, only I did it the opposite direction. And it's going to be substantial. One of the hardest parts of it, and I think this is probably the only place that this is going to be a real problem, it's so forested that you're going to get like no sun on the road in a lot of parts. So we're doing a solar bike race, but we're going through a part that's going to be completely covered. Yeah, what's up with that? I think for next year I'm going to ask them to just do it in Texas. You know, it's like no bush is taller than 3 feet tall and unlimited sunshine, and there might be some 40-mile-an-hour winds, but I'm good at that. Everybody else will learn. It'll be fine. Anyway, so I was trying to decide, do I want to push it hard to get here, which I'm in like basically in San Jose or Campbell at the Motel 6. Anyway, so I'm like, I was kind of thinking I wanted to stop before I got into town and camp the night and then see if I could hook up with some of the people that are in the race. There's a few people that live in the area. Maybe not necessarily right where we need to be, but they'd be within 50 miles or something. Okay, whatever. Right? So that was the plan, but I ended up getting too much into town and I couldn't find a place that I could, just camp out in the wild. So I looked at one place. I'm like, anybody down here is going to have like $1 million house, and so you don't want to camp in their front yard, and their front yard could be 40 acres, and so you don't want to mess with private property. So then I'm looking at, there was a county park, but there was still a lot of people. Supposedly the park closed at sunset, and it was like 5 o'clock already by the time I got to there. And I'm like, oh, there's no way I can get away with camping here with this many people. And I saw a couple fire access roads that if I would have seen them sooner, I probably would have just parked on them. They got like a big gate, do not park in front of a gate. I'm like, okay, that's a perfect place to park. That would have been. And it was in the shadow, so I wasn't really visible to people going by. That would have been a really good spot. But by the time I saw it, I would have had to slam on the brakes going down a hill and then backtrack back up the hill. And I just didn't have the heart to do that. So I kept thinking, oh, there's going to be a better spot. And then I had a couple just confusing navigational blunders. Like, I came down one hill, and there's like 4 or 5 roads that come together, and GPS is telling me where to turn. And I'm like, I honestly wasn't sure if GPS was backwards or if I was backwards. Because when you're sitting still, sometimes the little arrow doesn't point in the right direction because it doesn't know which way you're facing, kind of thing. And I probably spent half an hour, well, maybe not half an hour, but, well, altogether half an hour, because at first I stopped to let the bike recharge a little bit. And then, because there was a good patch of sunshine there, and then I'm like looking around trying to figure out where exactly I was supposed to go. And then I went to go, and then I bought a new foam pad for sleeping on, and it was all rolled up, and I didn't have anything to bungee it very good with. And that thing it fell off the trailer several times. Luckily it fell forward so that it would drag the ground and make a horrible noise, and I'd see it or hear it. And it's all messed up looking now. It's like, oh, I guess I'm not taking that one back. Yeah. Anyway, so it's just like that kind of thing just kept happening, right? Couple hills coming down were so steep that I was like, I just had to get off and walk again. This will get much better when I get rid of all the extra stuff. You know, I've already gotten rid of stuff, but for the actual sun trip, I'm going to have way less stuff. In one way or another, I'm going to either, you know, probably if I can hook up with one of the guys that is also in the race, I'll just leave a bunch of extra stuff in their garage kind of thing. There's apparently also going to be a follow van that we could put extra stuff in also. So we're not completely self-supported like we'd be on the full race. So that's kind of nice to have that option. But I think if I get rid of most of my stuff and still carry the tools, I'd be in pretty good shape. So, yeah. I had bought a tent, and what I ended up doing, I went through the Walmart curbside delivery service. So you order it ahead of time. They send you an email when it's ready, and then you just park in the designated spot, and you tell them what number you're in, and they just bring it right out to you. That is a really cool service if you haven't tried that. I was actually still looking at the app trying to tell it what color of car I was in because I'm on a bicycle. And I looked up and the guy was standing right next to me with my stuff. I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, it's like, that's pretty cool. It's faster than, you know, going in the drive-through, you know, at getting a hamburger or something like that. It was pretty well done how they do that. So anyway, when he brings it out, I looked at it and I'm like, oh, you know, this is way bigger than I was hoping it was going to be. It's like an 8-pound tent. So it's not like a backpacking tent. And my philosophy on this trip is, especially this year, the way I'm looking at it, I'm probably going to do this year and probably next year because now I've made the investment in the new bike, and I don't know if the new trailer is going to last, but I might use it as a starting point to build another trailer. So now I've got the 2 solar panels, I've got all the solar charge controllers, I've got the new bike and a bunch of other stuff. So it makes sense to do it one more year. But I don't necessarily want to go out, it's like everybody's talking about, you know, and people I'm meeting on the road, they've got, you know, a tent and a sleeping bag and an air mattress that altogether weighs like a pound or something ridiculous like that. But they're like, you know, the one guy's like, oh, this is my $300 tent. And I'm like, dude, you know, I would take that out and just destroy it in a weekend. You know, I mean, they get these fancy tents. They're putting them in double bags to keep them safe while they're riding, you know, and they're nice. I mean, you know, but I'm not going to use it that much that I really need it to be a $300 tent, right? So the way I'm looking at it, I'll just take the penalty. I'll have heavier stuff. It'll slow me down a little bit. But if I only use it for a year or two, I can't justify having something that expensive. Now, with the bicycle, I should have this bike the rest of my life. Okay, so I'm looking at it like that. Plus, if I ride 2 years and cover all 48 states, 24 this year, 24 next year, in case you're confused on that, the official goal is 22, but there's 24 states west of the Mississippi. And the way that the route looks, I'll probably just pick up the last 2 on the way back. So if things go well, I'll get all 24 that are west of the Mississippi. I don't think anybody thought that through that, you know, on purpose, but there's 24 states west of the Mississippi and 24 east of the Mississippi for 48, and then Alaska and Hawaii are 49 and 50. So even though the Mississippi isn't down the middle of the country, the western states are bigger, the eastern states are smaller. Okay, for anybody who didn't spend a lot of time looking at the map, it just kind of worked out that way. Okay. So once I've done the 2 years, after that, if I do van life or something else, I'll probably still have it set up. What I want to do is keep the bike, set it up as an electric, probably not do the solar on the bike, hook it up on the back of the van, drive around, park in a spot, and then take day trips and come back to the van every night, right? Instead of camping, um, just regular, instead of bike camping, I'll camp in the van kind of thing. Because, I mean, as much fun as I'm having on this trip, like tonight, what a giant pain in the butt. I had to unload everything off the trailer and carry it up a flight of stairs after riding all day, right? Just to put it in, because I don't have any way to lock the trailer itself. Now, I took a bike lock and tied the trailer to the staircase out there. But I can't lock what's on the trailer. It's like, hopefully I'm hoping the solar panels and batteries are still out there, because I can't easily, take that all apart. And I couldn't get a ground floor room. If I got a ground floor, that's what, Well, and even then, half of the rooms I've been in didn't really have enough room that I felt like I was comfortable dragging the trailer in to the room. So it's not ideal. Okay. So let's see what else. So I was looking for camps, just a place that I could pull off and camp. And, it's like, there's a point where you don't want to push your luck, I think. If you absolutely don't have any other options, I don't feel too bad about taking 6 feet out of the world if I need it. Just enough room to, throw down a sleeping bag kind of thing. But this close to major cities, even the county parks, they probably would have somebody drive around and chase everybody out, right? So I'm like, yeah, I didn't really want to go there. So I'm just right on the edge. I'm like, I didn't know what to do. I'm like looking, and it's like, well, so I just pulled out the phone and Googled Motel 6, and there was one within 10 miles of where I was standing, where I was looking for a place to just throw my tent, or just throw my sleeping bag on the ground. I'm like, okay, I can make it 10 miles before sunset, right? Well, then I didn't even realize I had done it for that, but the last time I had said GPS on the phone in bicycle mode, because quite often I just put it in car mode, because bicycle mode sends me on wild goose chases everywhere. And that's been my experience. It's like, man, if I can avoid bicycle mode on GPS, on especially Google Maps, because it'll have you driving, oh, here's a bike path over here, let's take that one, and then we'll drive 4 blocks across and pick up another bike path, where if you just rode down the sidewalk, or with traffic, you'd be there easier, right? So it's kind of annoying, right? Well, I realized that the bike path that I was on is the one that Suntrip is probably going to use. And I'm like, oh man, that's gonna suck. Because they had mentioned, we did a Zoom call today, and they had mentioned, oh yeah, there's a section of a bike path that's going to be gravel. And I'm like, well, I ride on gravel all the time, right? But parts of that, okay, so I'm coming from where I decided I wasn't going to camp. I realized that was the bike path that I had looked at. And I'm like, okay, so that'll get me into town, which was nice. Well, there was about, I don't know, half a mile. Well, first there was a pretty long, maybe a quarter of a mile. It's really steep because it's on the edge of the dam. There's a big dam reservoir there, south of San Jose. So it's really steep. I mean, some of the guys were biking up it, but I was really questionable if I had enough brakes with my trailer coming down it. I was right on the edge of walking. I'm like, well, I'll get down and it'll be okay. So then I get down that, and somebody I talked to says, whatever you do not bike on the freeway on that section, because it's really scary. And I could see some of the traffic on it. And yeah, I was like, man, I definitely didn't want to be on that one. And earlier today I did have a highway patrol tell me to leave the freeway. So yeah, I didn't want to have that happen twice in the same day, just in case they talk to each other. Yeah, he was really nice about it, but still. What's that, the third time I've gotten chased off of freeways on this trip already? Well, twice. Third time, or the one of the three, the guy wanted to chase me off the freeway, but there was no option. And after we talked, he realized it. But that was probably a freeway I didn't want to be on either, because there was 3 bridges with 0 shoulder over deep gorges. Yeah, that was probably what the most scared I've been on this trip. The other times it happens too fast to be scared, but this one was pretty bad. Okay, down the steep hill. Okay, that's paved. Then it turns into gravel, and there's another really steep coming down. And I'm like, I see it, and I slam on the brakes, and I go to get off, and then I realize that the trailer is jackknifing me. Now, if you've never jackknifed a trailer behind a bicycle, it's not a very good situation, because I'm like, you're on gravel, you don't have any traction. That trailer is just sliding the bike right around, and both wheels on the trailer, or both wheels on the bike, are locked up. And I'm trying to get my feet down fast enough to catch myself. I almost lost it. I mean, if that thing would have tipped over, it would have pushed it all the way down the hill. And I would have been, if I was lucky, I could have gotten out of the way. If not, it would have dragged me with it. It's about the steepest I've ever been on gravel on a bicycle, and plus too much weight on the trailer, and there's no weight at all on the bicycle once I get off of it, right? The bike itself doesn't weigh anything, and I've got road tires. They're really skinny. So this was just a nightmare. So here I am, standing beside the bike, holding onto the brakes, and I'm leaning against the seat, because every time I'd lock up the trailer or lock up the back wheel of the bicycle, it would just slide sideways and just jackknife. So I'm kind of trying to lean my hips up against the seat to hold it from going sideways, right? And I got the backpack on, and the sleeping pad keeps falling out of the trailer, and I just couldn't reach it, And then I knocked my Gatorade bottle out of my backpack, and that just fell on the ground, and I couldn't reach that without losing the trailer. It was just, like, seriously, who in their right mind? I mean, anybody else on a mountain bike without all of the stupid stuff, that would have been fun. I could see that. It was like, this would be a really interesting trail, but there was no warning signs that said, slow down, you're going to die, kind of thing. I just think, if nothing else, a warning sign would have made that a little bit better. I honestly was sitting there, I'm like, okay, I've already checked into the room. I did it online, here's my credit card and everything. So I've committed to the room. And I'm like, I don't know if I can get to there. And I couldn't get back up the hill. It was too steep. So I finally get down. Okay, go along. The rest of it was really nice. And then I get to a point where, again, it was kind of confusing what the GPS was trying to say, because it said, go over and then across and then down. So like maybe on the other side, but it wasn't real obvious. There was kind of a fork in the road, and one went up from the trail, which was down low, up to street level, and the other one goes kind of under the underpass, but it didn't look obvious that it went across to the other side, right? So I'm looking at it, and I'm like, I start trying to push the trailer up. I get about 3/4 of the way up, and I just lose traction. The bike doesn't have any traction, and I end up sliding all the way down the hill again. Yeah, backwards, right, for style points. And I'm like, oh man, I am so gonna die. It's like, I just want to get to my room, Okay, get down to the bottom, disconnect everything, put the bike, let's see. Took the bike up first, looked around. It didn't seem obvious that the trail was up there, so then I thought maybe it was down at the bottom the other way. But while I was up there, the GPS gives me an alternate route, which was on the city streets, not on the freeway. I'm like, oh, that's way better, right? So I leave the bike on top, go down, pull the trailer up, and it was all I could do to pull the trailer up that gravel road, just by, with my, like, without the bike, And at that point, the next step was to unload half of the stuff, which would have been just a complete, just bad news, And I'm getting tired, and I'm starting to run out of daylight. And I got the tail light on the back of the bike, but I don't have a headlight anymore. I took it off because I just decided I wasn't going to ride at night. Well, I don't know. A day like today, maybe it would have been nice to have it again, but and towards dark, then you're running out of solar, so you're running out of battery. So do you want to run a headlight and burn through your battery? Yeah, I don't know. Okay, finally get the trailer back to the top, hook it up to the bike. Okay, everything seems fine. Okay, and I only got about 6 or 7 miles to go now through town, so that part went actually pretty well. It was almost a downhill all the way from there to the motel. I didn't use very much power in town, which was good because I was almost out of power. So get to the room, or get to the Motel 6. No, they don't have any ground floor left, but I did get, the last of the singles. So not horribly expensive, but still, considering, well, when I could get the campsites, I got them for $5 a night, so this is a little more than that. But okay, we're in here, we're safe, we're legal, we're not gonna get, woken up by the police at 3 in the morning and, told to leave. So yeah. So let's see, the plan, the way I'm looking at it at this point, okay, two things. One, I don't know for sure if the parts that I paid for are going to make it. So I got a new motor controller, some of the accessories that make it all work and everything. If that makes it, I'm going to be sitting pretty good. I should have no trouble at all keeping up to everybody else. If it doesn't make it, I don't know. If I can get rid of like most of the weight on the trailer, I think I can do okay and keep up and make the miles that I need to make. Okay. But I've never done 100-mile days. Okay. And this first day, which I just got to see, I was going the opposite way, but it's going to be, some of the hills I had trouble coming down are going to be going back up, and no sun because of the trees, So that's going to be a challenge, and the first day is going to be pretty long. So, and we're not sure what time we're going to leave yet, because we want to have, they're hoping to get some kind of a city official or somebody to come and wave the flag to leave. Okay. So we're not going to get to leave at 6 o'clock in the morning, which on a long day, that would be a good idea. So yeah, right. So that's going to be tough. So we're going to have to be able to run pretty fast. And if I'm going down a long hill, well, with less weight, I should be better on brakes. That's the one thing I can think of is if I didn't have so much weight, then the brakes would do better going down the hills. So there is that. Yeah. It's going to be a challenge. Yeah, it's definitely going to be a challenge. I think I was more optimistic a month ago, but after having gone through everything and realizing how many little things that can break, that can just mess up your whole day, it's making me well, that's a good word even. I'm just like, well, for one, I don't want to let go of all my tools, right? Even if we have a van that's following us, if you break down and it was something you could have fixed pretty easy, but you don't have all your tools, then you got to wait for the van to come find you. And so much of the road doesn't have cell phone coverage. So that's another thing. You couldn't even say, hey, I'm broken down. And let's say, maybe because we don't have to necessarily follow the exact route, we just are going to get to the same campsite. So it's possible that you could have people on each side of a route or something. So, or, maybe I decide I'm going to pull in and grab a hamburger or get some more Gatorade, and the van drives by me and then I have a flat tire. That kind of thing, right? So you really got to keep most of your tools that you need. And like today, I hit a bump and my seat came loose again. So then I had to dig around and figure out where my Allen wrench was to tighten the seat up again. A lot of the new bikes have everything set up with Allen wrenches, so that's good. So, instead of all my tools, I can cut it down to a few, and then carry zip ties and electrical tape, and stuff like that you can use to fix things. But like, okay, going over rough roads with the solar panels, it's going to shake everything loose, you know. And if we're trying to make 100-mile days, we got to be going faster. So I think I did the math on this one time. 15 miles an hour times 6 would be 90 miles. So if you could do 15 miles an hour, 7 hours, you'd have the 100-mile day. But you're going to stop for breaks. So, although I've been doing 7, 8, 9, 10-hour days, so I know I can keep the hours up. If I can just ride fast enough, I'll be in good shape, I guess. And that one day I rode without the electrics, so I didn't go very far, but I definitely could, you know, put out the effort, I guess. So, yeah. The funny thing is, the town that I bought the new bicycle is the end of where we turn around and go back up again. So I'm like, since I got the new bike, I have been on the route that we're going to take, except I was going the opposite direction, you know. And then from there, we'll come up inland where I haven't been on that road yet. And what one of the guys was saying is, yeah, it's always cooler on the coast, so the good thing is, going down the coast, we should have a tailwind, if that's the predominant wind. And then going up, I'm not sure about, but it's going to be warmer going north because we're inland, and cooler on the coast. So we'll get a little bit of both, I guess. Yeah. Anyway, that's been my day. This was longer than I meant, but that gravel at the end of a day, man, was that a just monkey wrench right in the middle of everything. I'm like, oh man, couldn't hurry if he tried. You know, it's like, okay, I'm just trying to survive getting down that stupid hill. Yeah, that was crazy. So I guess the good thing is I've seen half of the route already. The bad thing is it's some of it's pretty tough. So that's going to be a challenge. All right, that's it for now. I'm going to get this edited and uploaded, and I just wanted to say definitely thanks to everybody that's helping support the mission. Some of these days have been just crazy expensive. I'm just blowing through the money. And it's like, you know, I would have slept out in the ditch if I could have found a spot to do it. You know, I felt bad about taking this room. Just, you know, I wasn't planning on staying in a room. But I guess the way it was working out is if the motor didn't work today, I needed to get far enough to be sure that I could get here before the 29th. Now that, you know, I should have been fine. I could have gone 10-mile days and still been fine. But if something happened, you know, it would be nice to get here a day sooner so I could fix things or, you know, whatever. So I thought, well, it just made sense to get here as soon as I can, but then that put me in town. And yeah, I could almost see looking around and then going back out and finding a campsite, but then, yeah, let's ride 40 miles over that same road I just went on today. That doesn't make any sense. So, yeah, anyway. So, as always, thanks for all the support. Keep your veteran friends in mind. If you got somebody that's, you know, you don't even know they're having a hard time, just check in on them and, you know, go for a bike ride. It always makes me feel better, so. Tired, but better, right? All right, that's it for now. See you soon. Bye.